Welcome to In the Zone. I am your host, Chris Broussard, and I'm happy to be joined by my man, Rob Parker.
What's happening,
and we're going to
Chris?
get right into it, man. It's all about the NBA Finals. And so, obviously, they just ended last night, and the Warriors won 4-1. As you predicted, I'm going to give you your love.
Thank you.
I predicted the Warriors in 6 before the series started. After games 2, I said the Cavs would get swept. So I really predicted 5 as well because it's right in between
you
4
you
and
were
5.
switching.
4 and 6 is 5. All right, Rob, so let's get right into it. After last night's loss, LeBron had this to say about his performance.
Well, for me personally, I left everything on the floor every game, all 5 games. So for me personally, I have no reason to put my head down. I have no reason to look back at what I could have done or what I shouldn't have done or what I could have done better for the team. I left everything I had out on the floor every single game for five games in this finals, and you come up short.
Rob Parker, does losing these finals end the GOAT talk for LeBron?
I don't know how it doesn't. It's hard for people, even if you're a LeBron supporter or fan. And it's not that he played poorly or, he played great, okay? Yep. Everybody knows he's a great player. But, Chris, it's so hard for people with a straight face to say he's the GOAT. And he's lost 5 NBA championships and now is the only MVP to have lost this many. You know what I mean? Finals.
Season MVP,
right,
yep.
to lose 5 NBA finals. So I think the GOAT talk is definitely going to be scaled back, if not quiet, at least until he has a chance to win another one.
Yeah, and I am a LeBron supporter. I like him. I actually think he's the second best player of all time, but I do think the GOAT talk has to end. Barring something that I think is unrealistic, like him winning the next 3 or next 4 championships, it's over. And people try to couch it like it's either he's the GOAT or he's some failure.
Right, or he's a bum,
exactly.
Right, and it's
he's
not
on
that.
Mount Rushmore. I mean, it's not like nobody talks about Magic as the GOAT. Very few, but he had a tremendous career. Kareem, very few mention him, or Wilt. So, but it's over. Like you said, the 5 finals losses. I think Jordan's resume is better beyond the championship.
And that's what a lot of people lose. What in this conversation has been going on is people trying to discredit those 6 rings and say he didn't play anybody or this team was weak. And you just can't do that. 6 for 6 with all 6 MVPs. And then the other body of work. Last night we talked about it. Jordan led the league 10 years in a row in scoring.
Exactly.
LeBron's led the league once.
Yep.
I mean, the
Jordan
body of work.
also led the league in steals 3 times. LeBron's never led the league in anything but scoring that one year, other than minutes played, and Jordan's led as many times in minutes played. So you're right. People want to act like it's just the rings. And look, I think this Warriors team, and I think we'll get to this, is better than any team Jordan beat in the finals. But like you said, you don't discredit who Jordan beat. He beat great teams.
He beat the teams that were there, right? And they were great teams then. And he stopped. We talked about this as well. How many big-time Hall of Famers did he block from winning a championship during his era?
No question.
And when Michael Jordan retired, I just remember everybody, all the kids wanted to be like Mike. Yep. He left a big impression.
Well, he put an entire era on lock. He said, look, nobody else is winning it. Nobody. I don't care who you are. LeBron's done that with the Eastern Conference. Jordan did that with the entire league.
LeBron has now lost 5 NBA Finals. If he continues to lose, will that impact his legacy?
I mean, look, you certainly don't want to be 3-6, 3-7 in the finals. But what are you going to do? I mean, you're trying to compete. You want to get there every year you can. And it shouldn't be looked at as a negative as much. Like, if you want to use it to say why Jordan or one reason Jordan's the GOAT and LeBron isn't, I get it. But you can't say he's 3-5, he's 3-6, he's 3-7, as if that means he wasn't like a super great player.
There's no doubt, but it is how you finish up. And if he were to continue to lose and lose 4 championships in a row, just say he made it the next 3 and were to lose those, it does take some luster off. You know, it might even make somebody want to make a T-shirt for you. You know what I mean? I gotta get one in your size. Here we go.
Oh, now you know I ain't sporting.
You want to wear that?
What does that even mean for folk?
That's
what does that mean?
finals failure of all time.
Oh, come on.
There it is. That's for LeBron.
Well, hold on. First of all,
don't tell Jerry West.
Jerry West was 1-8 in the finals.
But Jerry West was never considered the greatest player of all. And this is only
I
that's
give
why
you that.
this
but
is
he
why
was still
LeBron
an
gets
all-time
it.
great. He's the logo.
Yeah, but that was only because he dribbled left-handed. It wasn't because he was the greatest player ever.
But he was an all-time great.
When you talk about somebody being the GOAT in the GOAT conversation, LeBron's lost more finals than anybody, and that's why he's
in the GOAT conversation. No question. Well, I look, the other MVP that has made – come on, get that. The other MVP –
I know Shannon threw it earlier on Undisputed today.
The other MVP who has a record somewhat like LeBron's is Wilt. 2-4. And I think there's some similarities there in that they both were arguably the greatest physical forces and statistical players that we've ever seen, arguably. Certainly Wilt, but you could throw LeBron in there. But the championships, as they've won them for sure, but not what you might expect. I mean, Wilt Chamberlain was the best player in the world.
Right.
But only 2 rings. LeBron James, clearly the best player in the world. Like I said, he's on most people's Mount Rushmore, but only 3 rings. And so there's a similarity there. But, yeah, I think that, look, some people act as if 3-5 is worse than 3-0.
No.
You know what I'm saying?
Right.
Like, he got to 8. That's an accomplishment.
It is an accomplishment, but also the flip side is because he has such an easy path in the East, it does diminish it somewhat.
Look, I will say this. There's a very good possibility, I might even say more than 50%, that LeBron James never wins another ring.
I don't disagree with that. I think that is real.
I think he's got a good chance. We'll see what kind of moves the team can make, but it's a great chance that he may not. All right, LeBron became the first player to average a triple-double in the finals. Great accomplishment. Should that accomplishment, though, be a consolation prize for losing?
I think if LeBron is honest that you play, you put up those numbers, you say to yourself, I did all I could do, but I don't think he holds his hat on that. No. Do you know what I mean? It's about winning. Yeah. I always say sports has a short menu. It's wins and losses. So that other stuff, while people can talk about it, there's no way he goes home and feels good. Well, but I was the first player to ever average a triple-double. I doubt that comes up at a dinner conversation. You know what I mean? Or you're going out trying to brag to people. So it is an accomplishment, and I'm sure he is aware of it, but I don't think he takes any solace in it.
He'd much rather go 25.7 assists, 7 rebounds, and win the championship. I will say this, though. When you look at people's legacies and you try to differentiate between the all-time greats, because they're all phenomenal. Oscar, Kobe, LeBron, Tim Duncan, Jordan, so on and so forth. You do pick little achievements or failures, little nuances to differentiate.
No doubt about it.
And this is, I think, again, this doesn't erase the loss by any means. You kind of erased 2007. Because he didn't have a great team.
I don't want to erase 2007.
Not erase, but I mean, you don't really hold that against him. Because
had he won that,
because he was so young.
Because had he won that, people would have been marveled at.
Because I'm not saying erase. I mean, he's 3-5.
Right.
But I'm saying most people that even hold Dallas against him or San Antonio.
Right, I get it. You
don't really hold that. He was a young
kid. Because that team, they shouldn't have really been there.
Yeah, exactly. It was great just to get there. And they faced a great Spurs team. That doesn't do this. But when you're picking, like, is LeBron better than so-and-so, to say that he's the only player to ever average a triple-double in the finals, that will be a notch in his belt.
There's no doubt. I'm not going to disagree with that. I'm just saying LeBron personally, I don't think it means that much to him, not in the grand scheme, because it came in a losing effort. Now, if he had a triple-double and they knocked down and beat the Golden State Warriors, and he had a heroic and a Herculean effort in doing it, now the legend is through the roof. So I think that's the part that changes it, at least for me.
What do you think is more impressive between Russell Westbrook's triple-double for the entire season, LeBron's for the finals?
I think Russell Westbrook, only from this standpoint, an entire season is an unbelievable thing. And then to go 40-some-odd years between the Big O and him with all these great players that have played and nobody else could do it. And remember, he had to play every night and bring it every night. And
82 games.
It's a grind, and you know that with the travel, so I'm more
with
impressed.
you. I think it's a little more impressive. I do think there's an argument, though. If somebody wanted to argue LeBron's, because one, it's going against the best team in the world. Two, the second best defense in the world. And nobody's ever done that. Oscar Robertson obviously did what Westbrook did. But
no doubt.
I'm with you.
All right, Durant wins the Finals MVP. Has he passed LeBron as the best player in the world?
No, I still think LeBron's the best player. When you watch their games, LeBron just can dominate and control a game in a way that KD can't. Now, KD is a better scorer, obviously a better shooter, and he fits better in that Spurs system, I think, than LeBron would. I'm sorry,
and the
Warriors system. But he doesn't control a game and can't like LeBron can with his passing and playmaking. And he's got so much far less responsibility than LeBron does. And he's got greater players around him, so they draw attention that frees him up to get easier shots.
I agree. I think it's the prison of the moment.
Yeah.
Yep, he played great, averaged, over 35 points in the NBA Finals.
Phenomenal.
He wins an MVP. He made big shots. So when people look at that, he's better than LeBron, it was a passing of the torch, which I didn't buy. I think after Game 2, people started saying
Paul
that.
Pierce, who was an arch rival
Right,
of LeBron James,
exactly.
we might add.
It was almost like Isaiah Thomas, and I'm talking about Zeke from the Pistons, and Bill Laimbeer saying that LeBron was better than Michael Jordan. You got to know the history to know that they would never give Michael any credit. You know what I'm saying? So from that standpoint, but I think what I saw from him is just his confidence. That big shot he made in Game 3 where he just kind of dribbled, you know what I mean? Didn't hesitate, didn't look for anybody else, and I think he plays – his game is great from this standpoint. He doesn't have the pressure. He has other great players around. All he has to do is go play his game and not worry about too much else, and I think that's why you saw him rise.
I think he does enter next season, though, as the favorite for MVP.
I agree with that.
I really do because, this has worked out terrifically for him. All right, look, does winning both the ring and the Finals MVP validate Durant's decision to go to Golden State?
No way, no how.
What? You'd rather see him in Oklahoma City
I would,
with no ring.
For the best of the
Possibly.
league. But the only thing I'm going to say about this is they did get to the Finals before, right? Oklahoma City with Westbrook. And they were up 3-1 against Golden State before they choked it down. If you remember, Durant had a bad Game 7 in that situation. So it wasn't like it was out of his reach or he never had a chance to get there. And I know he did validate it from this standpoint, that he was the MVP, so he wasn't riding their coattails or just along for the ride. He carried him. So from that standpoint, but I still would rather him not have joined that team and, not weaken the league as much as it has. It's a 2-team league. If you want to put the Spurs in it and make it 2.5, that's not for competition. That's not what it's about. I just want to see guys have to go through things, and you know what I mean, and try to win that way. So that's why it doesn't validate it for me.
I get it. I do think it validates it. I felt like he had to win this championship, and he didn't have to be the Finals MVP, but he had to be a factor. He had to be an impact player where you said they would not have won it without KD, and obviously he was that and then some. But I'll say this, even though this has validated it, but they really need to become a dynasty. Like, as great as he is and as great as they were without him, if you're that type of impact player, if you're that type of all-time great, then you need to make this team be a dynasty. They were great without you.
Right. They already won a championship without. Right. So
if he were to, 5 years from now, he's got one ring, this one, then you look back at it like, man, he really didn't do much there.
Absolutely. It needs to be, to me, if they win 3 in a row, right? Plus the one that he really wasn't a part. So it would be 2 more, and then it would be 4 out of 5 years. Then that's a dynasty. You have to win at least 2 or 2 out of 3 to me to be like two in a row at least to be a dynasty. And I think that they need those 2 more.
Do you consider the Pistons bad boys a dynasty?
Yeah, because they won 2, and then they went. Then they go
3 straight years.
They went 3 straight years, and they won 2. You got to do at least a back-to-back. Without a back-to-back, even when you talk about the Spurs, they're not a true dynasty because they never even won back-to-back. But they won 5 over a long time.
I would consider them a bigger dynasty than the Bad Boys Pistons.
Really?
Just because you're right, they didn't back-to-back.
They never did back-to-back.
5 in, 15 years or whatever.
Yeah, but that's spread out. I don't know about that. They were good, but not that good.
He's from Detroit.
No, to stop it. Here we go. All right, whose season would you rather have, Durant or Westbrook's?
Durant. No question. Look, Westbrook, I voted for him for MVP. I think he's going to win MVP. But there is no question. I mean, if you're Kevin Durant, this year could not have worked out any better other than if you had been regular season MVP, which was never going to happen because people were against you when you started the season. But, I mean, you win the ring. You go 16-1. You beat LeBron James, who had beaten you when you didn't win the finals in 2012. And you carried the team. You became their best player. Like, no question, I'd rather have Durant's season.
I totally agree. It's always about winning a championship. That always trumps everything. You could have a so-so regular season, but a great playoffs and finals and win a title. To me, that's why you play. That's what it's about. And if you ask Westbrook, if he could take the championship instead of the triple doubles for the entire season, he would take the championship. I think it would be crazy not to.
Well, some people ask this question, and I'm interested in your answer because I've often been asked, would you rather be Charles Barkley or Robert Horry? Or let's say Russell Westbrook or
that's a great question.
Who won Derek Fisher. I would much rather be Charles Barkley and Russell Westbrook than Derek Fisher or Robert Horry. My thinking is when you have star ability, when you can be an all-star and a superstar, you want to be that. And you try to win a ring, but even if you don't win that ring, you were able to play to your maximum ability and try for a championship. I'd rather be that than a role player who kind of got carried to titles, even though I hit big shots.
Right. No, I agree. I think Charles. I'd rather be Charles.
Charles
Barkley
a legend.
Charles a legend and was a great player. It just didn't happen for him, and it happens like that sometimes in sports, where you're really good and it doesn't happen. We on Undisputed today, Shannon brought up Ted Williams, who was one of the greatest hitters in the history of baseball. Went to the playoffs one time, didn't win anything, because the Red Sox never won, and he was a great hitter and all that, but he never won. And I bet you he would give up some of those batting titles to have won a championship and a World Series with the Red Sox. So it's always,
But look, we still talk about him. If he had not hit 400,
right, we would
had won a ring, we wouldn't be talking about him. We still talk about him.
Absolutely.
So did Steph redeem himself from his previous finals performances?
Absolutely. He played really well because the other two, and I know the numbers aren't horrible like, that some people have made him out to be, but he didn't play like the MVP that he was.
I agree.
And the first year, he didn't even get any votes for MVP.
Which I think was ridiculous. I'm on record as saying he should have been MVP.
But he didn't get in. He got no votes.
Yeah.
Because Dellavedova hemmed him up.
He averaged 25 points.
I know,
6 assists, 5 rebounds, and had 37 in the pivotal game 5. I'm telling y'all were tripping. Steph was great in that finals.
He got no love.
He was not as good as we expected.
Exactly, and I think that was it. But here, I think that he did bounce back and played really well. I know. I don't know how you could look at him and not think his contribution were huge for them, along with Durant, but I think that he did redeem himself.
He averaged 27 points, 9 assists, and 8 rebounds. I mean, he was phenomenal. And I think even though Kevin Durant is their best player, I think Steph is probably their most important player because the fact that he has such range, it spreads the defense out and puts them on their heels every possession. And beyond that, he set the tone in that culture, in that franchise, just like Tim Duncan did in San Antonio by having such a lack of ego and welcoming KD. And he set a tone in there before KD even got there that they're rolling with now. And actually is one of the things that made KD want to go there. So, I think Steph redeemed himself from whatever he needed to, even though he didn't get a Finals MVP.
Absolutely. While Steph won another title, he still has not won a Finals MVP. How will that impact his legacy?
Again, as I said earlier, when you're nitpicking about great players, all-time greats, you do look at little things like that. But overall, I don't think this hurts him. This team, it shouldn't be it's KD's team or it's Steph's team. Just like we think of the Showtime Lakers. We don't say it was Magic's teams or Kareem's team. And I think that's how they should go down and will go down. Steph has plenty of opportunities. I'm sure he'll be a Finals MVP at some point. But we know what he does in the regular season. We know he played terrifically in this series. And, just like when Worthy won the MVP for the Lakers, didn't take away from what Magic or Kareem did. Bird's first title, Cedric Cornbread Maxwell was MVP, didn't take away from that. So people shouldn't jump on Steph.
I would say the only way it would impact his legacy is if they were to win a couple more, like say they won 2 more, and he didn't win an MVP, then you wouldn't put him in the conversation of GOAT. Do you know what I mean? That's the only thing that would stop him.
You actually think he could one day be in the GOAT
Well,
conversation?
I don't know. I'm just saying, say if they won 2 more and he won a couple more regular season MVPs and he's shooting the lights out of it, you know what I mean, and stuff and putting up numbers that we haven't seen, then you would look and go, but wait a minute, and they won these 4 championships, but he never won an MVP in the finals. Everybody else did. Do you know what I mean?
No, I think that's a great point.
That's the only way, to me, it could possibly hurt his legacy.
Yeah, that's a great point.
If it was
because
about GOAT talk.
Last season during the regular season, you did hear commentators saying he could end up being top 10 of all time. Some even said top 5 if he continues to do this. And if you look at little things on people's resumes, if you saw 4 or 5 titles, never a Finals MVP, that could come back to haunt him. All right, the Warriors went 16-1 on their way to the title. Are they the greatest NBA team of all time?
I think this is one of those prisoner of the moments. It's so fresh. Maybe if they would have gone 16-0, I don't know. I just think the competition level, this is me. It's also about who you beat. And when you look through, the road they had to go through, I'm just not that impressed. And then they beat the Spurs without Kawhi Leonard, him getting hurt. Remember, they were down 25 points in that first game. I don't know how that series was really going to turn out had they won that game and Kawhi Leonard stayed healthy. So just my gut is no because of the competition, not taking away anything that they did. They had to play who was in front of them. But I think when I look at this era of the NBA, I always say it reminds me of Larry Holmes and Muhammad Ali. Muhammad Ali didn't beat everybody, but he beat all the big guys at the time, the biggest heavyweights. Larry Holmes
beat everybody. Well, he had a couple losses later in his career, but he redeemed his losses when he was in his prime.
Right in his prime. Yeah. And then if you look at Larry Holmes won his first 48 straight fights, but nobody ever considered him the greatest because they looked at the people that he fought and said they were either bums or has-beens or washed up. So I think that takes away from a team's legacy when you look at the competition.
No, that's fair. That's fair because so many of the great players went to this team, they didn't, face as good a competition. Houston had one superstar, and that's it, one all-star. And then during the playoffs, they did face teams that were injured. 1 year, because obviously we're not talking about greatest of all time.
Right,
as far
just
as
1 year.
Dynasty.
Right.
1 year, I like Philadelphia 1983 with Moses Malone and Dr. J. They swept Magic and Kareem in the finals. I love some of the Showtime Lakers teams. Take your pick which one you think was better. And then obviously you got the Jordan Bulls. And people even talk about the 86 Celtics.
I got one team. Just hear me out on this one. And this ain't another homer thing.
Oh, man, come on.
The 2004 Pistons.
Stop.
I'm going to tell you. Wait. It's one of the all-time great teams.
Stop it.
It is.
Stop it.
They beat a team. Just think about the team that was put together. Shaq and Kobe had already won 3 straight.
Get this man out of here.
No, I'm serious. And then they added Gary Payton and Karl Malone, and the Pistons were the first team to ever have a 5-game sweep. Remember that? That was a 5-game sweep.
I don't remember a 5. I remember they beat them 5. But you covered. I know I covered that series, and I know you did as well.
Absolutely.
The Lakers imploded. First of all, when they beat they were falling apart as it was, and then they came back and beat San Antonio.
The Pistons still should
and
not
felt
have
like
beaten
that was
team.
Their championship. And then during the finals, Malone was injured, And, Shaq and Kobe obviously had their issues, and Gary Payton wasn't happy. I mean, it was a mess.
Don't poo-poo the Pistons in 2004.
I give them love for winning
give them some love.
But you're going to say they were one of the best teams ever. Stop it, Rob. In the show, get out of it. All right, look, Vegas already has the Warriors as the favorites to win next year's title. Is their dominance bad for the league?
Absolutely. I know nationally people like it because they could just talk about them all day. But for a competition thing for the NBA around NBA America, we saw the numbers go down. Regionals 15%.
During the regular season.
And also TNT and ESPN's ratings for national games during the regular season went down 6%.
But the playoffs.
The playoffs were good. No,
the playoffs were good, and the finals were like the best in 20 years.
Yeah, okay, but
you conveniently left that out.
But I'm saying, but it's not just about the play. You got a whole regular season, and you have an NBA America that's looking up. Do you feel like you would want to run out and buy season tickets for your local team that has no shot to win? I don't know if I ever remember a time when so many teams have no shot to win, and let's be honest, they just don't.
Well, we'll see. You make valid points for the regular season. We'll see what happens with that. But dynasties and dominance has proven to be good for leagues. I mean, when Jordan was a dynasty, 6 straight years essentially, people loved it.
But we talked about the teams the guys that he stopped. They had chances. Now, Charles Barkley didn't win. Patrick Ewing didn't win. Reggie Miller didn't win. But you can't tell people. Did you
really ever? How often did you think they were going to beat Jordan's Bulls?
Thought
nobody took him 7.
I thought the Knicks had a chance when they won the first 2 games.
But that's because you wrote for New York Newsday and you had to. I mean, like, come on.
No, but I was there.
Never thought the Knicks were going to beat Jordan's Bulls.
I thought they were going to beat them that year. That's the one year I did.
You were under the spell of Pat Riley. I know that's what that was about. Or Jeff Van Gundy. But I would. Dominance has been good for the league historically. And here's the thing to me that separates these Warriors. They are fun to watch. That's the thing. They're exciting to watch.
I don't disagree with that.
25-foot shots, occasionally 35-foot shots is exciting and fun. And I think that's what can make up for the lack of teams competing with them is that they're so fun to watch.
But the only problem is the NBA turning into the Harlem Globetrotters. Am I expecting to get confetti dumped over my head while I'm at the game? Because that's what it's turned into. It's like a show with the half-court shots and everything, and the Warriors are now playing the Washington Generals every other night. They just have different uniforms on. So I think that there's got to be some pushback where you have like somebody make a challenge of them. If they would have win the next 3 championships, I'm telling you, that kind of dominance is not good for the league.
Yeah, it'll be great for the finals, and I think, but you're right. We'll see what happens in the regular season. But I'm going to say this is a challenge to the coaches too, because let's be honest. Before Kevin Durant got there, you would not look at Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Draymond Green and say that's overwhelming talent.
No. But they were drafted,
LeBron,
and I get
Kyrie,
all that.
And Kevin Love have more talent than them. But Steve Kerr put the perfect system in place for them. So you do have talented teams around the league. Cleveland, obviously, San Antonio, who Popovich does find a great system for them. The Clippers, that's a super team with Blake, Chris Paul.
They can't get out of the second round.
But it's because they haven't found the right system for them. I'm challenging these coaches from other talented teams to do what Steve Kerr did and find the perfect system for your players, and then maybe you'll get some challenges to this team.
All
right, man. Speaking of challenges, you were a great challenger today. You went down, but
I didn't win. I won.
Swinging.
Are you kidding?
You went down swinging.
I won. I was robbed.
In the zone, Chris Broussard and Rob Parker. Thanks for tuning in.